Thank you. The chair will now recognize members in order of seniority for their questions. I, at this time, recognize myself for questions. Ms. Steffen, thank you for your testimony. Do weak penalties embolden organized retail crime and organized retail criminals?
Based on my experience and the experience of my team, we believe it does. One of the facts that we rely on is we didn't even see organized retail crime or these smash and grabs, these brazen type thefts of hundreds of thousands of dollars until California passed a law that elevated the level for a felony crime to $950, and it also
And if I may, can I ask, has that had an impact on what happened in Los Angeles, the $300,000 of ransacking that happened at a Nordstrom's, the thousands of dollars that happened at a Nike store in Los Angeles?
We are the second largest county in California, so I assume that our experience and fifth largest county in the United States would have some bearing on other counties. Yeah. I mean, that law, the California law, is across every county in California, and the key problem is it didn't allow for first time or second time. There's no aggregation, and you can steal every day of the week just under $950, and it's the same
So criminals
penalty.
are coming back every day of the week, and they're stealing.
And it's still a misdemeanor.
And they're not being prosecuted.
Well, they're being prosecuted in San Diego because
Okay.
we believe, but it doesn't mean that it can be a deterrent because it's always going to be a misdemeanor. They're not going to remain in custody.
You know what's interesting, sorry to cut you off, but our previous witnesses on the government panel wouldn't talk about the thresholds, they wouldn't talk about deterrence, but what I'm hearing from y'all's testimony is that deterrence matters. I'll go to Mr. Johnston at this time. Are your member companies scared? Are their employees scared? And does that have an effect on the consumers being scared to go into retail stores because of this?
Yes, thank you for your question, Mr. Chairman. Yes, this is not a victimless crime. Employees, consumers, communities, we are all victims of organized retail crime. Our retailers have reported, as I alluded in my oral testimony, many of them have seen increases of 100% or more over last year, which many have also, those were all-time highs to begin with last year. Injuries, deaths, so employees are fearful. No employee should wish to go to work in fear for their job. No employee should have to quit or leave a job for fear.
Well, I agree with that. Just today, here in Northwest DC, it was reported on Wisconsin Avenue that 5 to 6 guys with guns ordered everyone in a Verizon store to the floor and robbed that store for the phones and the other technology that was in it. Mr. Glenn, I'm so sorry for the losses that Home Depot has had. That's just horrific. Are your employees at Home Depot scared for their lives when they go to work because of the rise in organized retail crime?
Thank you for the question. I appreciate the chance to answer that. What I would say is that I think we've been at the forefront of trying to protect our associates and take the appropriate steps to make them feel as if they're entering a safe environment. We start at the parking lot, we bring it inward, we train our associates, we overtrain our associates on de-escalation, to be great witnesses, to not engage with bad actors. So while there is a broader, fear out there in the environment, I think that we've done a nice job of making our associates feel good.
Mr. Johnston, I asked the previous witnesses if they see trends. Are there cities in the United States that have a higher level of organized retail crime? Ms. Steffen testified that in San Diego that they're prosecuting, but maybe not in Los Angeles County. Do you see trends across the United States, cities where it's higher levels of incidents?
We do have an annual survey that goes out to our retail members that one of the questions is where do they often see the highest levels of organized retail crime, and we do provide a top 10 list. It is based on their responses. It is based on their experiences and their internal data. But that is not to say that, along with my fellow panelists in the previous panel, organized retail crime groups, they prey on wherever and however they can obtain their goods and their dollars.
But if, as Ms. Steffen was saying, if you have a non-aggregated penalty day in and day out, $950, doesn't that add to a criminal's mindset that they're going to take advantage of that if they know they're going to only be prosecuted for a misdemeanor instead of a felony?
I would agree with that. Our retailers do see that aggregation can play a large role in deterrence where, you know, an individual act, an organized retail crime is not a singular act. It's conducted in multiple acts, multiple perpetrators in an organized effort. So aggregation can be of great support and assistance in this matter.
Thank you. Ms. Steffen, last question. Alvin Bragg's day one policy that took armed robbery from, in some cases, from a felony to a misdemeanor, does that embolden criminal activity?
I believe that every prosecutor should follow the rule of the law, and the law says that robbery is a felony.
Thank you. I yield back and now recognize the ranking member for his line of questioning.